There's a reckoning a-comin' for the Chargers at center. The Rams add their perfect linebacker, perfect in the sense that they don't care about linebackers. And Scribes are, again, trying to will it into existence. They are trying to will into existence Mick Cronin leaving UCLA. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. It's March 19th, 2025. Do you like being in the know about LA sports? Well, if you do, click the like button. Click the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. By all means, comment. Now, we do have a bit of an expanded look at the scoreboard because while we were sleeping, except for me, I have no life, the Dodgers beat the Cubs 6-3 over in Tokyo. The Dodgers blast through Japan. The Dodgers sweep across Japan. Insert lousy Godzilla joke here. They left the island in rubble. Shohei Ohtani hits a home run. Roki Sasaki, in his major league debut, breaks out the flamethrower. He averaged 98 miles per hour with his fastball. Guy allows just one hit. He strikes out 3. The downside, he walked 5. We knew he had a wild streak, so that's got to work out over time. Also, the Clippers defeated Cleveland 132-119, and tonight, Denver is at the Lakers at 7, and what do you say we get to the news? There appears to be a battle brewing to lead the Chargers' offensive line. And if you are a fan of the Bolts, you should absolutely be in favor of that because, let's be real, Jim Harbaugh may be a quarterback. He doesn't believe in lighting up the sky with passes. He believes in the opposite of what you would think a quarterback would want. Having your offensive line basically punch everybody in the mouth for you. You know? Work smart, not hard. Let everybody else pummel the other guy. And then you can throw if you feel like it. But the running game never got off the ground. Pardon the very awkward pun. If you watched the playoff humiliation over in Houston, it was abundantly clear. It wasn't the tackles, it was the interior of the offensive line. And Jim Harbaugh, little quirky, not stupid, just because he lives in a trailer by the beach doesn't mean he buries his head in the sand. So the Chargers yesterday, according to the LA Daily News, signed Andre James, who used to play center for the Raiders. Now, as much as Chargers fans loathe all things silver and black, James did block for Josh Jacobs in Vegas when the dude led the NFL in rushing. The former UCLA lineman will fight for snapping duties alongside incumbent Bradley Bozeman and the possibility of guard Zion Johnson. We do not know the pecking order before training camp, okay? It is possible that Chargers brass, who were just bragging all day long about Johnson's offseason work, learning how to play center, it's entirely possible the Chargers had second thoughts. I mean, look at the Rams last year. Last offseason, they couldn't stop bragging about how amazeballs Steve Avila was trying to shift from guard to center. Early part of the year, the Rams' offensive line was an abomination. Old Testament level abomination. Then they wound up making some adjustments and everything turned out fine. Look, if Johnson stays at left guard, again, a possibility. We don't know if it's a 3-man competition. Could be. Assume Johnson stays at left guard, and you could still say that the Chargers addressed the interior offensive line. They already upgraded at right guard through free agency. At center, as it looks like right now, it's a 3-man competition between James, Bozeman, and Johnson. Got to be an upgrade in there somewhere. So 4/5 of the offensive line, or if Johnson stays at left guard, there becomes your starting offensive line. And it's necessary, vital. Because if you look at the Chargers right now, they are a borderline playoff team. They didn't improve. You don't become better by losing both Joey Bosa and Poona Ford on the defensive front. Moreover, you can't replace a healthy Joey Bosa. I will grant you, he's rarely healthy. But they didn't replace Poona Ford, who was a revelation. It's going to be painful. But just because you got weaker on the defensive line doesn't mean you match it up by becoming weaker on the offensive line. You do that, don't be surprised if Denver, if Vegas, if somebody else comes up and bites you on the rear. And Jim Harbaugh, with weak lines on both sides of the ball, the dude's undergone enough heart procedures as it is. You weaken both of his lines, he's going right back to the hospital, guys. So, yeah, Andre James, necessary to try and play center. Meanwhile, over with the Rams, linebacker has been a position that the national scribes have been nagging the Rams about all season. You go to those old school TV comedies about the nagging mother-in-law, that's what the scribes are to the LA Rams. And I'm going to remind you of something when they do nag about linebacker. Name the last great Rams linebacker. They signed Bobby Wagner for a year. Love Bobby Wagner, especially with how he treats spindly white climate protesters in San Francisco. Terrific. But then they let him go. Why? Because the Rams defense is not predicated on great linebackers. It's predicated on having a great defensive line. The last time that they spent a moderately high draft pick on a linebacker was Ernest Jones, who was a third rounder back in 2021. And do you remember what happened? The first time he asked for a contract extension, not a raise, a contract extension. He didn't hold out. He wasn't a jerk. He just was like, hey, I'm toward the end of my rookie deal. Can we talk turkey about a new contract? And the Rams said, sure. And then they traded him. They don't respect linebackers. They rather would sign randos and coach them into being competent. Omar Spates last year, undrafted free agent. By the end of the season, he was an every down guy. So the Rams finally added a linebacker, and if I'm reading into the situation, Nate Landman is an ideal Rams linebacker. They signed him. He last played in Atlanta, where he played under former Rams defensive coordinator Raheem Morris, so you would think he would know a little bit about the system. By the way, scouting reports suggest Landman is good in run support. And by the way, he's getting paid in food stamps, so he sounds like the perfect Rams linebacker to me. It seemed like only yesterday when we quoted UCLA coach Mick Cronin saying that the only way he would leave Westwood is if the Bruins forced him out. Not just like, hey guys, I like it in LA. He wasn't playing coy about future job prospects. He wasn't saying, hey, I signed here and I'm here until further note. No. The way Mick Cronin talks about UCLA, Martin Jarmond would have to knock him out with a rag soaked in ether, stuff Mick Cronin and his suit into a burlap sack, throw him into a FedEx cargo plane. That's what it would take. Sounds like he loves being at UCLA to me. And just one day later, some rando in New Jersey reports that Cronin is a dark horse favorite for the Villanova job, with no sources included. So once again, back to the panic porn, back to the panic talk. We don't get enough of it in regular news, and we also have to have it in sports. Mick Cronin can't get these people to stop talking about him leaving. Meanwhile, back to reality, UCLA allowed just 65.7 points per game. Led the Big Ten, which is pretty much what Mick Cronin likes, right? But this sets up the challenge in the first round because Utah State scores 81 points per game. Now, I don't believe for a moment that the Aggies have the talent level that Wisconsin did when Wisconsin knocked UCLA's defense silly in the Big Ten tournament. All I'm saying is that's a warning. And Cronin is not stupid. He's impetuous and temperamental, but he's not stupid. The point being is that if the Aggies can spread the Bruins defense with perimeter shooting, then you have a problem. And the coach is aware. Austin Reeves told the LA Daily News that when the Lakers don't have LeBron James, JJ Redick is running much more of a motion offense. There's an emphasis on Reeves or Luka Doncic running past screens on the opposite side of where the ball is on the court. Reeves said that it creates problems because if you sag off the dribbler to try to double team Reeves or Doncic, then it's obviously an open shot or an open path to the hoop. You play him tight, then Reeves and Doncic are running around so many screens that they're going to be the one getting the open shot. Quote, I don't think a lot of people run off-ball stuff. It's just kind of a different look for people. Kind of got to pick your poison on how you want to guard it, unquote. With the Clippers, it is a known fact that in order to play for them, you have to be ready to undergo surgery at any time. To the front office, they love to go to sleep by reading medical reports. Oh, so soothing. They love injured players. Well, last night against Cleveland, the team roster was finally intact for the first time since the trade deadline, and that just wouldn't do. That just wouldn't do. Because now next man up includes the coaching staff twice. Coach Ty Lue sat out with an injury. The coach gets injured. I poop you not. The coach got injured. Lue was out with back pain. Then assistant Jeff Van Gundy, who has many years as a head coach, he was gone too. Personal matter. Van Gundy, by the way, was in charge of the defense, by the way. So without him, the Cavs dropped 45 in the first quarter, so that was unsettling. Brian Shaw served as the head coach for last night's game. By all we know, he'll be spending the night in the emergency room for the next game. Stay tuned. Quick note on the LA Kings, Francisco Pinelli. What a lovely singable name, Francesco Pinelli. Man, you see a name like that, you better hide the women and children. What a perfectly European name. If he's got the hair and the accent to go along with it, he will be very successful, maybe not on the ice, but in other ways. Anyway, the guy is a second-round pick for the Kings in 2023. He is clawed up from the fourth line to center the top line for the Kings minor league affiliate in Ontario. He has responded by scoring points in 5 consecutive matches. Scouting reports suggest that he could be a top 6 forward in the future in the NHL, but he has to speed his game up. Now, Reign coach Marco Sturm said Pinelli, he's skating better, he's getting involved more often. Now, whether that qualifies as speeding up his game, maybe it does, but, you know, and I'm not trying to tell you that the guy's going to come up in time for the Stanley Cup playoffs and dominates, but Rob Blake more or less tore the Kings prospect pool to shreds. It's nice to know there's at least 1 or 2 guys down there that might be able to play in the league in the near future. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about the Chargers trying to make a battle for who's going to be starting center, or the Dodgers reaching, just reaching for the throat in Tokyo and just dominating with a sweep. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Cortel Queso production. Take care.